Let's get real. Most of the struggles we face in life come down to one thing: we care way too much about what others think. This obsession with approval is what keeps us unhappy. Today we're breaking down The Courage to be Disliked, a powerful book co-written by Japanese philosopher Ichiro Kishimi and author Fumitake Koga. They argue that every internal struggle is tied to the outside world. In other words, no worry exists in isolation. Our fears and anxieties always connect to how we think others perceive us. Kishimi and Koga believe that life isn't actually as complicated as we make it. The only thing standing between you and happiness? The courage to be disliked. They emphasize that true freedom comes from letting go of the fear of judgment. It's not about lacking skill or intelligence. It's about lacking the courage to live on your own terms. In this episode, we'll explore key lessons from the book, including why seeking external validation is a dead end, the psychology of unhappiness, and how to create a life of true joy. The authors base their ideas on the work of psychologist Alfred Adler, who believed that the self is a unified whole. Your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors all work together toward a common goal, whether you're aware of it or not. Adler's perspective suggests that the goals you set shape not only your happiness but also your entire identity. Kishimi and Koga expand on this by explaining that personality isn't fixed. Instead, our emotions, habits, and thoughts reflect a lifestyle we once chose and continue to choose because we believe it serves us in some way. For instance, they argue that antisocial people aren't inherently that way. Rather, they've adopted certain behaviors as a strategy to achieve specific goals. One of the book's most thought-provoking ideas is that we create our emotions to align with our subconscious goals. Take job interview anxiety, for example. A person might believe they're nervous because they want the job so badly, but Kishimi and Koga suggest that their real goal may be to avoid rejection. The fear they feel isn't an obstacle. It's a tool they've subconsciously created to avoid taking a risk. But what about past trauma? Doesn't that shape our ability to be happy? The authors acknowledge that while past experiences influence us, they don't determine our future. Not everyone who experiences trauma remains stuck in it. They argue that we assign meaning to our experiences, and that meaning, not the event itself, shapes our lives. So if happiness is within our control, why do so many people stay unhappy? Kishimi and Koga suggest that for some, unhappiness is actually a strategy. People who remain stuck in misery often have a frustrating, unreachable goal, usually tied to their relationships with others. Many chase approval, believing it will make them happy. But no matter how much validation they receive, it's never enough. Seeking approval is a trap because it turns life into a competition. If being liked becomes the ultimate goal, then other people's success feels like a threat. This mindset leads to resentment, jealousy, and a fear of being overshadowed. Worse, when people can't get the validation they crave, they often give up altogether, convincing themselves that they're flawed beyond repair. So, what's the alternative? Kishimi and Koga suggest shifting your focus from gaining approval to contributing to others. True happiness comes from knowing that you're useful, that your presence makes a difference, and here's the kicker: when you genuinely believe you're contributing, you stop caring about whether others recognize it. The book also challenges the idea that we need to achieve something huge to be happy. Instead, happiness comes from recognizing the value of what we're already doing. It's about embracing the present moment rather than constantly chasing the next big thing. At the end of the day, no matter how hard you try, some people won't like you, and that's okay. The only way to find lasting happiness is to accept this truth and live life on your own terms. Let go of the need for approval and embrace the courage to be disliked.